Now, Apple's doing that same thing with the M4, series, and people are actually asking questions so there is something to it that maybe some portion of the consumer base wants to know what's inside, right? And it doesn't cost much to brand. Since we're here, let's talk a little bit about the CoreWeave IPO. CoreWeave is going to go public on Friday. We tape on Thursday. So when you listen to this episode, you will have the actual data on what happened with their IPO. They're going to raise $1.5 billion. They're a neo cloud. Neo cloud means not just cloud computing, but a new cloud, thus neo. And this company has really been growing quickly. It was reported they wanted to raise $2 billion, and I guess they stepped it down to $1.5 billion at a $23 billion valuation. They had $2 billion in revenue last year, so they're up 8x, and they've got a lot of debt. That's the other issue with CoreWeave that people note. Almost $8 billion in debt. And one customer, Microsoft, accounts for over 60% of their revenue. Always a bit of a red flag there. As Chamath mentioned, Nvidia accounts for 15% of their revenue, and they own 6%. 6% seems small enough to not make a difference. So Gavin, I guess, what do you make of this company, CoreWeave, and their timing, what it says about the markets? Because, hey, this is the biggest IPO we've had in a bit. I think maybe the last ones that were notable were Reddit last year, and a couple of other companies got out. Obviously, Stripe hasn't gotten out. So is this a major milestone, or are they going out because they have to go out because of all this debt? And then this is all against maybe a backdrop of, did we overbuild? And are these language models going to require as much hardware as we thought last year?
So we're definitely not overbuilt yet. And so everyone, who's kind of, confidently putting out all the negatives here, I just think there are some offsetting positives that it's good for, I think people to be aware of and consider. That's all.
I think it's a good company. I would second. I mean, I think it's a great business, and I think they deserve to be successful. Totally true.
And it's great to see a competitor to the existing 3 or 4 clouds that are out there. And it's great to see a company go public. I mean, M&A with Wiz and now CoreWeave going public. Wrath of Lina Khan is over. We got to give the administration a lot of credit for maybe removing the roadblocks to M&A and IPOs, or at least people perceive that. So I don't know if perception becomes reality here, but it does seem like M&A is a bit on fire, yeah, Gavin? And people are talking.
Above and beyond Wiz, I mean, CoreWeave bought Weights and Biases, which I think was a really interesting acquisition for them that kind of further differentiates them and maybe decommodifies them a little bit. But there have been quite a few acquisitions by big companies of smaller companies in the last month. And I think because none of the companies that have been bought have been public, maybe it's flying a little under the radar, but it's happening in I think, an accelerating way. And I think this would be, very good for the market and animal spirits and everything that we care about.